Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, benvenuti, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy with HONGDIAN these days. Yeah, I've got another pen review for you folks. It's the HONGDIAN N12. Yes, it's the N12. And you guys have been asking me, what about the N12? Should I buy an N11? Should I stick around for the N12? Do I get the N10? All of those comparisons we'll get into in a few seconds, but it is out. And I've chosen the purple version. I'm excited to get different colors and greens and, and not go with always the same ones, so that I have different colors in my collection. There you have it. It's a beautiful purple. Now, is it worth the price? Is it worth the wait? A lot of you may have a different impression about this, at least I did, about this pen. When you look at the photographs and the advertisements, you'll see that will it disappoint or will it meet those expectations? Well, you know what? Stay tuned. Okay, so here's the pen. And the first thing I want you to notice is that beautiful resin, especially in this light. You can see that there is a kind of a cracked ice, marbled kind of look. Very, very nice. It's got some chatoyancy. It's got some translucency. You could almost sense that you could see underneath it, but not quite. So it's definitely not transparent. I really like that finial. On the finial, you see a bird. It's not the usual HONGDIAN bird that you see. At least I don't recall having seen this one on previous models, but I could be wrong. But I do like the finial. I like the scrolling, round scrolling there. I also like the simplicity of this finial with just one bevel, as compared to some other HONGDIAN resin pens where the bevel is doubled up, as we shall see in the pen and size comparison. That leads to the clip. The clip, unfortunately, is so stiff that I would say totally unusable. Now, I don't know if you can get anything underneath there, but I just can't lift it for some reason. Is it just this pen or just the way they designed this one? I don't know. I must say I don't use clips, but for those of you who do, it seems to me that this is really, really tight. That leads to this center band where you can see the HONGDIAN brand name being inscribed along with the N12, which always is a nice touch. I like the fact that HONGDIAN does that so that we could, in case we forget the model number, we can easily access it. The bottom finial, you see that round gold trimming there, and with a black, solid black, flattened out finial. As we shall see in the size and pen comparison, I would have preferred that it all be, that this black section be the same resin used for the rest of the pen, but it's a design choice, and it does provide for some difference. There you go. Now, in terms of uncapping it, that's one, I would say 1.5 to reveal this nice nib. There it is. The nib, inscribed on the nib is the number 35, I believe, which is the way the Chinese often use to size or their nibs. We like to, in Western tradition, like to use the number 6, number 8, number 5. So this is a number 6. And we also see the letter F, which is for fine. This is a fine nib. I would have preferred a medium nib, but for the time being, there was no medium nib offering. But there is HONGDIAN, I believe HONGDIAN does sell this very same type of nib in a medium. So, and I may have extras. And if I do, I will switch it up and put a medium in there. As you know, guys, I like broad. And, well, actually, I like stubs, but the Chinese pen manufacturers haven't gotten there yet, except for Majon with that 1.1 stub on the P36. It's just wonderful. I also read somewhere that this feed would, in fact, be a redesigned feed. And yes, I've seen it in one other model, and I saw it earlier, and I forgot to note which model it was, but it was a more recent model. But this is a different feed that you would normally find in some of the older models of HONGDIAN. So, and I like this feed. I like the change. Now, does it make it better, a better writer? I don't have the expertise, but sure looks different. It almost looks like ebonite, but I don't believe it is. I believe it's plastic. So there you have it. Now, guys, can you see something that is missing here? I, in fact, see two things that are missing. One, I would have preferred that these two black sections be of the same resin as we find in the rest of the body of the pen. But there's no ink window. So I feel like for maybe the first time in a long time, HONGDIAN has kind of cut me short here. I would have preferred to have an ink window. Now, does it affect the design? Perhaps. Does it make it too similar to other resin pens, making it such that this model has no raison d'être? Perhaps. But the fact that it does not have an ink window, they were imaginative with the N10 to give us that little peephole as a weak, whether it's efficient or not is a different issue, but it does give you that different touch. And I would have liked to see an ink window on this, maybe, redesigned, redefined, but there is none. I originally thought that black section right there was an ink window, and I just couldn't see it in the light, but no, it's solid. Now this section is a little longer than in some of the other resin pens, and we shall see that in the size and pen comparison. It is very comfortable, by the way. The step down is not intrusive. The threads, you can feel them, but they don't affect the writing. It does provide for a decent sized pen. Very nice, very comfortable, light. So I think the writing experience will probably outweigh some of the more subjective critiques that I'm issuing in this pen, like the ink window and these black sections. Some would argue that they wouldn't be enough to sway them away from the writing experience. Now, does it post? It posts very comfortably. It doesn't backweight the pen at all. In fact, I would say that if there is any additional weight, it's on directly at the point here. I feel that it's giving me just an additional balance in the writing. So there's no back weight at all. It is also very deep here, as you can see. So it doesn't back weight the pen at all. And it's a fairly light pen. It's resin, so you would not expect it. So for those of you who like to hold your pens a little higher up, it's certainly even better. And even those of you who, like me, like to hold a pen maybe a little bit further down the section, and there's also a little flare here, just slight, to kind of keep you in check there. So that is very, very nice. I must say, very comfortable. I like the girth of this pen. It's not a small pen at all. It's not a huge pen, but it's certainly on the large size, I would say. At least it feels that way. So there you have it. I think we've we've covered both in and out. So we'll take a look at some size comparisons and measurements, and then proceed to a writing sample. So please stay tuned. By the way, the piston filler, I think I haven't tried it, but I would assume that the HONGDIAN wrench will fit into that. I would be very surprised if it doesn't. But again, no way of telling where I am in terms of ink, I guess, until there is none left. That section, the nib section, does remove for cleaning purposes if you don't want to remove the entire piston. So there you go. Let's do some size comparison, and we'll compare it to some other pens that are similar, other resin HONGDIAN pens, and it'll give me an opportunity to provide further comments. Okay, so here you have a sampling size comparison. Let's first go through the pens that I've chosen and compare things. First of all, this is my Asvine P20 because it does have kind of a purplish backdrop. That's one of the reasons why I chose it, and also to compare sizes. The Asvine is a little bit bigger, although I think the subject pen, the N12, is a little girthier. Then I have a Momento Zero Leonardo. This is a Prima Monteverde. Again, I chose it for the color, and it's a little bit on the smaller side. This is my 960, HONGDIAN 960, an older model, and this is the newer HONGDIAN N1S. And that brings me to wanting to compare these pens. This is the HONGDIAN, is it this one S? Or no, I'm sorry, this is the 960. I'm sorry, this is 960 and this is the N1S. This is a cartridge converter. And I got to tell you, when I compare it, you could see that HONGDIAN got a little easy there in terms of this section. I would have loved if that section was all resin, but there is a difference. The N12 is much bigger, as you can see, and so it gives you a bigger writing section. So there are differences. Okay, in terms of the cap, you can see what I mean. It has the HONGDIAN bird, or a different bird anyway, but it's kind of a doubled bevel there and just a single there. The clip is kind of similar, I would say. The band is similar. This one has a more interesting band, I would say, the 960, the older model, because it has kind of a ring, 2 rings engraved in it or embossed in it, and a little bit larger, making it a little more attractive in my view. So again, if I would have to choose the two, you know what? This older model 960 might take the nod. If I compare it to the the N1S, again, the caps, there's a single as opposed to a double bevel. 2 finials, which I like, the 2 finials, they're different styles, and it makes it different. In terms of the center bands, I think they're equivalent. But this is a piston filler, and I would say is much heavier than the other one for some reason. And there you have it. You have the difference between the N1S and the N12. It's got that ink window. Now, the N12 appears to be a little bit bigger. The section here is bigger, but this has got resin everywhere. And that's what I would have loved to see in the N12. But I guess if that's the case, then you would have just copied the pen. And what's the point of doing another one? You know, if you're going to make it like the N1S, then just call it an N1S purple. You know, so I guess there is a gold trimming there, and there's no gold trimming there. But that ink window, I think, is a nice touch on the N1S. But they're both piston fillers. But there you have it. In terms of girth, I would say they're equivalent. In fact, the section on the N1S is probably just slightly girthier than the N12. So there's a detailed comparison. And of course, this comes with that long blade nib. I don't know if there's going to be an option for the N12 eventually, or maybe it you know, those nibs automatically fit in because they're all HONGDIAN. I would have to try that. I have not. For the time being, I've got that fine there. So there you have a more detailed comparison. And here they are, uncapped and unposted. As you could see, the new N12 is bigger than the two sisters, if you will. And it's the biggest one of them all. Well, actually, probably the equivalent of my Asvine. But here again, Asvine, nice touch, all the same acrylic resin and an ink window. So which one would you choose, this one or that one? By the way, this brings me a point. Asvine, HONGDIAN. I've always asked myself, you know, is it a different company? I've read somewhere, and maybe Inquiring Minds, Doodlebud, and Chris Rapp, you can perhaps confirm this. I know that Inquiring Minds goes through, likes to go through the various corporate structures, and it's something that he fancies, and he's always very informative in that way. But I've read somewhere that HONGDIAN and Asvine are really in the same group of companies. I don't know which, but I think Asvine may be the parent company of HONGDIAN or vice versa. But they are the same company, which is, or the same group of companies. So that's interesting because they do make different, they've kind of taken different tangents, if you will. There's some similarities, but there are differences. You know, what I appreciate about Asvine is that it gives you that medium nib, which is really, really nice. Whereas HONGDIAN is not, that medium nib is not an automatic option, if you will. So there you have them. Just a little bit of further information for you. Okay, now you have the same pens, obviously, posted. I think it's this one doesn't, this is what the N1S doesn't post comfortably. The Asvine, I think we all know, is problematic. I think the posting twists the piston knob, so not recommended. But there you have the size. And this is one of the reasons why this Asvine kind of protrudes here and appears to be the bigger ones. But even this one is not a great poster. And it kind of just sits at the top. Otherwise, the one advantage the N12 has over both, I would say, is the posting. It's more deeper and more comfortable. There you have it. That's the posting. We'll put up the measurement table and then do a writing sample. Back for the writing sample. First of all, the ink. Well, the ink that I decided we would use today is the Montblanc, the Beatles Psychedelic Purple. Very, very nice ink. Like most Montblanc inks, nice bottle, classic design, nice box. So that's my purple or psychedelic purple. The swatch for that ink, here you have the swatch, the Montblanc, the Beatles Psychedelic Purple. I think it's going to be a nice match. There were others, difficult, but I figured I'd go with the Montblanc. Nice ink. And, you know, let's see what the writing sample gives with that fine nib. In terms of the journal or the notebook that I'll be using, it's this Galen leather notepad, Tomeo River 52 GMS paper with a grid template. We're all set. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. HONGDIAN N12 purple. The nib is a number 6 HONGDIAN fine nib. The ink is a Mont Blanc purple. In terms of the nib, very nice. Springy, wet, very constant, no problems there. That feed just, follows very nicely. It's got that fine, nice feedback, so not problematic. Fast writing. Yeah, very nice. Not a problem there at all. Keeps up very, very nice. So I would say very wet, smooth feedback, and very constant. Okay, folks, very nice. Now, in terms of likes and dislikes, pet peeves, I would say the black sections, you know what I mean by that. I would have preferred that they be in the same resin, but again, then it'll be the same as the other pen. No ink window. Likes. You know what? I'm taking a look at that finial. I like the way that finial looks. So overall, the design is nice. I mean, it's déjà vu, but it's nice. The build quality is excellent. The nib is also just right. I mean, like you say, like I always say, folks, the fine nibs are not my favorite. But, you can't take away from the quality of that nib just because you prefer a different size nib, right? So there we have it. So I think in terms of value, I'll put up the values up. I'm going to say to you that maybe they kind of cut me short here, HONGDIAN. So question mark. I mean, the verdict's still out. I like the girth. I like it's very comfortable. It posts nicely. But have I gotten less than usual from HONGDIAN in this pen? It may be, you see, based on these dislikes, maybe I have, maybe they've cut some corners that I don't think is typical of HONGDIAN. Now, would I choose this one over the N1S or even the 960? The verdict's still out. I'm not sure. Would I choose the N12 over the N11 or even the N10? I think I would. The N10 for me is the pen of the year for HONGDIAN, if not for many others, because of that number 8 size nib. So, and it's just a beautiful pen. Will this, be, in my opinion, more of a go-to pen than the N11? Yes. N11 is a little too small, whereas the size of this pen makes it such that it will be a go-to pen for me. So A+ here, even with this fine nib, I got to tell you. So here we go. So at the end of the day, if the writing experience is what counts the most, then this pen is a winner. Okay, if we're going to pick on details, and if the fact that that section is black instead of resin just angers you and doesn't give you the same experience, well then, folks, there's the N1S, in my opinion. Okay, so there you have it. That's my review. I hope I've added or given you what you were looking for, because if you are trying to choose with all the N models that are coming out from HONGDIAN. Well, hopefully this will have provided you just another outlook among many, I'm sure, that will be up on YouTube sometime soon, if not already. And there you have it. Grazie molto. Tanta felicità. Enjoy your pens, and arrivederci.